Good morning, everybody, and welcome. This is our October 16th regular meeting of the Mason County Commission. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ken Van Buskirk, would you do us the honor, please, of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
I am present.
Commissioner District 2, Kevin Schutte.
Here.
Commissioner District 3, Terry Drexler.
Here.
Item number 4, correspondence and organizational business. Do we have any correspondence to come before this body?
Yes. Homes First sent a letter in regards to shelters for Mason County veterans. Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board sent liquor license applications for the Karen Hilburn Cancer Fund being held at Alderbrook Resort, 10 East Alderbrook Drive in Union, and Mason General Hospital Foundation being held at Little Creek Casino, 91 West State Route 108 in Shelton. Leslie Harrison sent a follow-up letter about the Mason County Jail, and the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board sent a notice of marijuana cooperative registration at 91 West Highland Road in Shelton.
Thank you. Is there any other correspondence to come before this body?
No.
We'll move to item number 5, which is our open forum for citizens' input. This is your opportunity to speak to the commission on any item that is not on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, we ask that you wait. You'll be given an opportunity to testify and speak at that time. If it's not on the agenda, you will have up to 5 minutes per person, 15-minute time limit total for everybody. So I'll ask that you raise your hand, be recognized by the chair. You will come up to the podium and we will ask you to please tell us your name and perhaps where you're from. With that being said, is there anybody who would like to speak on any issue that is not on the agenda?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning. That's
Today
good. We appreciate you.
at 11:30 at Olympic College in the Johnson Library is our monthly League of Women Voters meeting. And this time I'm talking about the Public Disclosure Commission and how you can find out where the money goes. So the whole point of this is to follow money from private donors and see where it goes. And you can see all of that on the PDC website. So I'm going to be taking them through searching for certain people and everything. So that's what today's meeting is about. So I hope you guys can make it.
That's wonderful. Education is a good thing. Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on any issue not on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move forward to item number 6, which is our adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move adoption of today's agenda as presented.
And I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded for the adoption of today's agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Item number 7, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move the approval of the August 20th, 2018 briefing meeting minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the approval of the August 20th, 2018 briefing meeting minutes. Any additions or subtractions?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. The minutes are approved. Item number 8 is our approval of our action agenda. All items listed under the action agenda may be enacted by one motion unless a commissioner or citizen requests it be removed from the action agenda and considered as a separate item. We will read each of the items to the public, after which we'll give you an opportunity to ask a question that may help you decide whether to have it taken off. But if you would like to testify or just would like to have it taken off, please do so at that time. With that being said, let's see, we have 5. I will do item number 8.2 and 8.3 because 8.1 has been stricken. Commissioner Drexler, 8.4 and 8.5, and you get to do the great 8.6, please. Okay, item number 8.2, approval of the Memorandum of Understanding MOU between the Mason County Housing Authority and Mason County Community Services, MCCS, providing clerical support to the Housing Authority. The Housing Authority will reimburse Community Services $308 per month for this service. Item number 8.3, approval of the interlocal agreement between Amendment KC-465-16-A, extending the Household Hazardous Waste Agreement with Kitsap County through June 30th, 2019.
Item 8.4, approval of the amendment to Community Lifeline Professional Services Contract number CL2018.2 to increase award for an additional $16,558 from 2163 funding for adult emergency shelter operations. 8.5, approval to sign a Mason County Park host contract with Laura Nelson for Foothills Park for the period of October 17, 2018 through December 31, 2019, with the provision for extending additional years upon agreement from both parties.
Item 8.6, approval of warrants and treasurer electronic remittances. Direct deposit fund warrant numbers 53500 through 53878, the amount of $680,683.49. And salary clearing fund warrant numbers 7003946 through 7003983 in the amount of $956,568.46.
Now, these items have been read to you in the public. Is there anybody out here in the audience that has any questions that may help them to decide whether to have it taken off for a separate vote? Sure.
Why was 8.1 removed? And do you know where that's located, the $875,000 parcel? Is that the Olson Furniture Store?
Would you like to take that for a second, please?
To answer the question, where is it? It is the Olson Furniture Store, and it is also the warehouse behind John L. Scott. So those are the two parcels, and the reason it's being taken off is that we're bringing in the financing structure that would be in the contract to the Finance Committee tomorrow for their review prior to us signing documents.
So we're still planning on purchasing it, we're just not having all the...
Correct. We're having a conversation with the Finance Department, a discussion regarding the financing aspect of the deal.
All right, thank you very much. Yes?
Is the county purchasing it?
Well, right now, we're not at this moment because it's not on the agenda, but we're looking at it for a potential courthouse and storage of files for the other building. Anybody else have any other questions? Hearing none, anybody out in the audience want any of them removed for a separate vote? Commissioners, do you have anything?
No.
Then I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of items 8.2 through 8.6 on today's action agenda.
Second?
It's been moved for the approval of items number 8.2 through 8.6, which is our action agenda in entirety since 8.1 was already removed. All in favor, or any comments or?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. Just a couple brief comments on item 8.2 and 8.4. These are good things for our housing and homelessness needs in the community. In particular, item 8.4 is to help extend shelter operations at Community Lifeline. We had initially funded them for 5 months. This will help get them into their 6th month of shelter operations, and so this is a good thing for them and for the community. And so I appreciate both of these coming forward.
I do think they do a wonderful job, and they do quite a bit with the money. Is there any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. The action agenda is approved. Next up is item number 9, other business, department heads, elected officials. Are there any department heads or elected officials who would like to speak at this time? Hearing none, we'll move over to item number 10, which we cannot do at this time. By law, we must wait till 9:30 before we can start that. So with everybody's indulgence, we'll skip item number 10 temporarily and go to board reports and calendars, item number 11. Commissioner Drexler, would you lead us off, please? Commissioner Schutte, and then myself.
Okay. So following last week's commission meeting, we did have our second budget workshop. And then I did attend the candidates forum held by the Shelton Mason Chamber of Commerce. On Wednesday the 10th, we had both the Finance Committee meeting and regular board meeting of the Olympic Region Clean Air Authority. And happy to announce the Air Authority over the last 3 or 4 years have been doing what they call a saturation study in each of the counties that is represented in this region. What that means is that there are air quality monitors set up in each of our counties, and they wanted to ensure that they're accurate and well placed. And so they've gone for a year in each county, one by one, setting up different locations of air monitors and coordinating them with the existing ones. Mason County's turn is next year, and so I just wanted to share that they'll be placing one in at the hospital, one out in the agate area, and the third we're still trying to decide. So that's kind of interesting for those that are interested in whether or not we have accurate air quality reports. Met with Jim Madsen and the director of a new of an organization called Shelton Family Center to see if there were some coordination efforts potentially for our troubled youth in the community. And I tell you, every time I meet with Mr. Madsen and see what he's doing with our juvenile services, it's just very awe-inspiring how much effort is put into trying to get kids back on the right track. But one of the eye-openers from this last meeting was the understanding that children who are not offenders, who have not been criminally involved, but whose parents have petitioned to the court for some help in making sure that they're on the cusp of maybe of getting into trouble. There aren't a tremendous amount of services for these kids and for the parents. And so they'll go to court, they'll get some sort of ruling from the judge that yes, this child needs some extra counseling or some supportive work, but there isn't any resource. And the parents feel like, okay, now I'm on the way to helping my kid get on the right track when they leave the courtroom, but then they find out there aren't a lot of resources in this community for the non-offender youth. And I think that that's something that I wanted to highlight to the community. And I think the Shelton Family Center, might be able to fill some kind of a gap, but there's so many different types of needs, it's hard to cover them all. I met with Scott Brewer from the Hood Canal Coordinating Council, and then did a tour of our courthouse renovations down in our courthouse building. And then I went to the grand opening of the Shelton High School Health Sciences Academy, and this is going to be a tremendous program. In their first year of operation, they have 127 kids enrolled, with a total of 301 on the track to perhaps get into this. This is just one of what they hope to be many different academies. It's called Career Connected Learning, so that kids are going to be able to graduate out and either know exactly where to go get their certifications for certain types of careers, or where in a four-year college. And I think this is a tremendous gift to this community, and I applaud the board of the Shelton School District and Dr. Apostle for bringing this so quickly. It was maybe 1.5 years in the making, and this thing is up and running with already 127 students. We had our agenda meeting and a regular board meeting at the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization. And then we had back for briefings yesterday, budget workshop. And then following today's meeting, we'll have a workshop on the public benefit rating system as it was recommended by the Planning Advisory Committee. We will have our service awards to all the Mason County employees who have worked here for 10 years or more, and we will honor them. And we'll have a Mason Transit Authority board meeting held at the Port of Allen. We'll have our Finance Committee meeting on Wednesday, and then the budget workshop with the Sheriff's Office and the Prosecutor's Office. And then I will be attending the Mason County Association of Realtors Housing Issues briefing on Friday at the PUD Auditorium, and then back for briefings on Monday.
Mr. Chair, 2 points from 2 items from last week. One, MACECOM had their board meeting and adopted their 2019 budget. We'll be seeing a less than $1,000 increase in our user fees, which has been the norm over the past couple of years as they continue to find ways to keep costs down and continue to provide excellent service and coverage for not just those on the responder side, but also the public who calls in when they need help. Also had a meeting with the State Building Code Council in Olympia on Friday. Continue to receive public comment through the end of this month on 2018 updates to the State Building Code. As with most things, there are some good things and there are some bad things in it. One of the items that is particularly encouraging is allowances for mass timber and CLT, which will allow flexibility in building and I think will be a good thing for our local economy as well. So hopeful that that will continue to make progress and be included in the update. Going forward, we'll also have the PBRS briefing workshop after this. The Mason County Employee Appreciation and Mason Transit have a meeting tomorrow with the Criminal Justice Working Team. Then we have Finance Council and Budget Also have the Hood Canal Coordinating Council tomorrow. I'll be attending the North Mason Chamber Scholarship Breakfast at North Mason High School, as well as the Mason County Realtors Housing Briefing on Friday, and then back Monday for briefings and more budget.
Okay, and we had our, as you heard, we had our budget workshops. I attended a meeting of the Democrat Party to be there to address some issues that I had heard in the community. I attended our EDC meeting, board meeting. There was a very spectacular gala that happened this weekend for the ARC, which works with mentally challenged and disabled people. But up until the last few years, it had always been Jefferson and Kitsap County. It is now including the Mason County, and they are starting to provide services here. And at that gala, the one of the awards went to representative from the 35th Ledge District, Dan Griffey, for all the work he's done in the DD community. It was a fantastic event. Hopefully next year we'll try and get another commissioner or so to show up on that now that they're servicing Mason County, but it is brand new that they're doing that, and I very much appreciate them. We had our briefings. Night Out for Turning Point occurred out here this Saturday. And I can't tell what that one is. I'll get back to it. So we have our PBRS meeting, as you heard, this next week. I also have, or after this, we have our employee appreciation event, which we will all be at. We also have a Mason Transit Authority meeting we will all be attending. Finance Committee meeting in the morning. We have another budget workshop, Chamber of Commerce, North Mason Chamber of Commerce board meeting, Temple board meeting, Audit Committee meeting, WIRA for the watershed, 15, they're having their first meeting. Briefings, more budget, North Mason Community Voice, and I will also be attending the Realtor Association event. We're having some moving going on upstairs, obviously. With that brings us back to our regular meetings, and we are done way too early.
I would like to, if with your indulgence,
Please.
ask Commissioner Schutte to expound a little bit on the cross-laminated timber regulations. What is mass timber and that sort of thing?
So this has been something that has been worked by the forest products industry and gone through the legislature, and you know, it's a building material that is you know, that is often cheaper, but what we're considering for the code change is allowing it for building heights between 160 and 240 feet.
Okay.
And so we've heard from a number of people in the industry on the forest product side, which is obvious why they would be supportive of it, but also folks in the engineering and architect community that don't see any issues safety-wise or structurally with building wood buildings above 160 feet, between that 160 and 240 foot threshold. So this would allow for flexibility, and it's particularly helpful as we look in our urban growth areas as we try to meet density requirements or needs, and when it's sometimes not cost effective to build concrete and steel buildings in those environments, that we'll have some flexibility there to increase density at a lower cost.
And what is the next step then? Is the building code then adopted by another body, or is this
The State Building Code Council will adopt the code. I believe we're targeting, based on the amount of public input time period, we'll be looking to take action November 30th, but we'll be accepting comment through the end of the month. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for your work on that. That's
Yeah.
very important to this community, and I just think for sustainability purposes in general, I think this is a tremendous product that I hope takes off.
Yeah,
in this
and it's really it's one of those things that has had really broad bipartisan support in the legislature. Legislation allowing this has passed overwhelmingly in both the House and the Senate, and had quite a bit of support both from urban legislators and rural legislators. And so this is the next step in that process, and allowing that flexibility that hopefully will. I mean, when you think about affordable housing, when you think about economic development and growth, in particular in communities like ours, this is a win for us.
One last question, if you don't mind. So then, the International Building Code, are they still lagging behind on the adoption of this, or have they already adopted it?
So I think they're behind us. This was something that the legislature has encouraged us to do, and so I think we're gonna be leaders on that.
Okay,
But I'm not 100% sure.
okay.
I do know that we're about 5 months behind in the state in adopting the building code council. So
Oh,
yeah,
heavy work though, that's why.
yeah. So
Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, absolutely.
So sadly, we still have 7 minutes to kill. And I'm
tried.
looking at, I know, I appreciate it, yeah, because we cannot start, for those that came in late, we cannot start until actually at 9:30. And believe it or not, that clock is fast, so we actually have 7 more minutes that we have to kill. I keep looking at Ross, I'm trying to think, can you, would you mind coming up and telling us about emergency management? What's happening out there in this world, please?
Sure.
Thanks for being our pinch hitter.
Yeah.
Take one for the team. Well, hi, I'm Ross McDowell with Emergency Management is one of my departments that I have. As a matter of fact, we do have something coming up on 10/18. It's the Great Washington Shakeout, which is the statewide earthquake drill that is going on. It'll also coincide with a earthquake awareness and also a warning system that I know earlier this month we had the one from the presidential warning system that went out over what is called WEA, which is basically it hits off of every cell phone tower that there is here. You don't have to sign up for it. It's just, it comes automatically to your cell phone, either in a text message or in a verbal message onto your cell phone itself. But they're going to do that again. It's going to happen on the 18th at 10:18. 10:18 is the time. So we're asking everybody to please, at minimum, to start thinking about what you would do at that time in your location where you're at. Because you don't know if you're going to be in your office, at home, at Walmart, out in Olympia, wherever you're at, to sit there and say, okay, if something did happen at this time, we had an emergency, what would I do? Obviously, the first thing to do is your drop, cover, and hold, which you drop underneath to your knees, get underneath something, hold onto your head and onto that item that you're using as cover, okay, until the shaking stops. And always remember, once the shaking stops, that doesn't mean that things are still not going to be falling. So don't get up right away and try to run to outside. Give it a minute before you actually start moving to make sure that everything is settled. Then you can go ahead and try to go outside and get yourself into some safer area, depending on where you're at. So I know with the county, we're going to be pushing that. You'll see some emails going out right before that that we push out to all of our employees to say, think about a plan. We have a plan for the county. We know what we're supposed to do, but think about what you would do in your own offices. And look around your office. See if you see stuff sitting up high that can fall that's not secured. If it falls, it's probably going to go toward your head or toward somebody else's, and you want to make sure that you keep everybody safe. So
What kind of warning do you think this new system will give us? How many minutes or seconds?
Well, it's going to be minutes, hopefully. That's one of the things. They're shooting for a 2-minute ahead time before an earthquake through all the sensors that they put out. They've put out more sensors with the National Geologicals. And I would love to see that. I mean, we do see that there is some that have been shown to really work in some of the islands that are out there, that they have given them about a 2-minute warning at some time. But I'm not overly confident. I don't think we should really, put all your eggs in one basket on it, saying that that's going to be we'll have 2 minutes, we can do it. It should be something that, if you feel the shake come on, go ahead and get underneath and prepare yourself. The best thing you can do is do the mitigation prior. Making sure you have stuff that is tied down or, put it in an area where it's not going to fall on your head. A lot of people have bookshelves and stuff like that. They don't have them secured properly. They don't have any kind of wiring across it or any kind of anything that would stop items from falling out of those bookshelves, or even the bookshelves attached to the walls. You know, we've just done ours in our office, and it did not take that long to be doing those. I mean, all it is basically screw it to a wall, and it'll stay. Okay, it's really something that can be done very simply. So, but I'm really hoping for 2 minutes. If I got the 2 minutes, I'd be happy as all get out. If
Well,
I could
speaking
get
of
that.
2 minutes, you still have 2 minutes to kill here.
So let's practice.
Do we have a, you know, how long do you think before we'll have something like that in place, and what level will it set it off? For example, a 4.0?
I don't know if they've actually set a level yet for that. I think it is going to actually, it'll tell you all of the different levels, but I don't know where they're going to put that key at, that where it's going to say, okay, if we hit a 4.0, it'll go ahead and shoot out messaging. So one of the things that was nice to see is that it did work, that this WEA was the first time they've ever tested that to have a nationwide. So you figure if we had something that happened up in the Pacific area, off the Pacific Ring that we have here, you're looking at 3 to 4 states that it would have to cover those 3 to 4 states. Well, with the WEA and using that technology to use those cell towers, we can cover all those states. One time, boom, hit it, and it would actually work. So
Do you have to subscribe to the warning system?
you don't have to subscribe to that one. That one's WEA comes all the way out. We have that option on our warning system that we have to shoot it out over just all the cell phone towers that are out there. But our normal warning system that we have for flooding and those kind of items that go on, or those kind of disasters that happen, those we do have people that need to sign up for it. If you have a home phone, we already have it. So if you got a landline, we already have it, that's in our system. But if you have a cell phone, you do have to sign up. And you can go to our website, for the Mesa County website, under emergency management, under emergency alerts, and sign up for the alerting system, which is called AlertSense. And it basically just, all you need to do is put in your name, your address, and the phone number, and how you want it. Do you want a text message? Do you want a voice message? Do you want an email? If you want email, they'll actually put in your email address. And when we put out emergency alerts, they'll come out right to you. We can do those geographically. So there's a mapping system in there that we can do a circle, or we can do a rectangle, or freeform it, you know, to take care of certain areas, depending on what kind of disaster is occurring.
It is 9:30. Thank you very much, sir.
You are more than welcome.
Does that cover the 1 through 3 ratings for evacuations also?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. We are going to put those out. If we do have something where there's an evacuation, that's the easiest way to do it. It's a lot harder to go door by door by door by door. So that's why we're really pushing this, so we can get more information out. Yes. Thanks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 9:30. We are opening the public hearing. Item number 10.1, public hearing continued from September 25th to consider proposed amendments to the motorboat regulations, Mason County Code, Chapter 9.04. Proposed amendments include, but may not be limited to, changing language regarding buoy placement from shoreline to mark the minimum water skiing distance on fresh water. Staff, Diane Zorn, is not here, so it looks like it's Frank doing the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is the public hearing was continued from September 25th to consider proposed amendments to the motorboat regulations, Mason County Code, Chapter 9.04. Proposed amendments include, but may not be limited to, changing the language regarding buoy placement from shoreline to mark the minimum water skiing distance on fresh water. Some background. The Commissioners held a public hearing on September 25 to consider changing the motorboat regulations to allow property owners latitude on the placement of buoys, and the hearing was continued to October 16th. A briefing was held on October 8th to discuss potential changes. Proposed language changes to Chapter 9.04.235, shoreline marker buoys. Lake waterfront property owners may place an appropriate floating buoy up to 150 feet from their respective shoreline to mark the minimum water skiing distance on fresh water. Such buoy shall be anchored individually and shall not be connected to any other neighboring buoy by any means. An appropriate buoy shall be round in shape with a diameter of at least 12 inches and shall be red in color. Any person choosing to place out such a buoy shall assume all responsibility for the buoy. Homeowners associations with the authority to restrict access to freshwater bodies may place buoys up to 150 feet from the shoreline in the pattern and amount necessary for regulation safety. Recommended action is to approve to amend the Motorboat Regulations Resolution Number 57-18, Mason County Code Chapter 9.04.25, Shoreline Marker Buoys by adding up to, in quotes, 150 feet, and adding the following language to the chapter. Homeowners associations with authority to restrict access to freshwater bodies may place buoys up to 150 feet from the shoreline in the pattern and amount necessary to regulation safety.
Thank you. Now that that has been read and introduced to you, Frank, they may have a question for you. This will be an opportunity for you to ask questions of staff in regards to the presentation that he just did. Is there anybody who has a question for staff in regards to his presentation?
Is there a question or comment?
You'll be given an opportunity for comment, but if you have a question that would help you in the future, you can ask him now. Okay, then we will end that part of it and we will move into public testimony, please. Now's your opportunity. So on public testimony, we ask that you please come forward, announce your name, perhaps where you're from, and you'll be given an opportunity to speak to the commission. Just always remember, please treat each other with respect as we'll treat you the same.
Thank you, Commissioner. James Taylor, 60 East Case Place, Shelton, Washington. As you know, we've been dealing with this now for, I think, 1 year plus. We've all been. I appreciate that we finally got to this point. As we've learned in our past meetings, some of the commissioners thought it was that way in the beginning. We know that some of the sheriffs who help you write the law thought it was that way. So I hope that we can finally get to a place where we can move forward on this and get a unanimous vote of yes to change this ordinance. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, please.
My name's Tom Hansen, Timberlakes, and I'm a retired architect. I can't talk without a pen in my hand. So I'd like to thank you for allowing me to come up here. And Timberlakes is in favor of the up to language, up to 150 feet. I know this has been presented at the October 8th meeting, but we realize that on Timberlakes, it's a rather, not a real small lake, but it's enough to allow water skiing, and we recognize that we needed to control our lake better, so we wrote a new resolution. We created a lake safety committee, so we're really tied into how our lake is used, and the language of up to 150 feet fits right in with what we would like to do. So again, as far as the board of directors goes, thank you for taking care of this and being proactive on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to testify? Hearing none. Oh,
Excuse me.
would you like to testify? Please come forward.
Hi, or good morning.
Good morning.
Mary Ann Priest, Timberlake Board, and I too would like to thank you for your work on this amendment, and that we at Timberlake recognize you for that support, and that it will indeed help us keep our community safer, and particularly those young folks who swim in the lake all summer long, that this is ideal for, for children to be safe. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to testify? One more time, anybody? Hearing none, we will close public testimony and move to commissioner deliberations.
Commissioners, I thank you very much for your consideration of this. It came to my attention that the language that talks about the buoys, if we were to change the language to up to 150 feet, it creates an inconsistency in our code in that our water skiing Title 9.04.135 specifically says that you shall be water skiing no closer than 150 feet from the shore. So I am going to ask that you consider striking the language in the section we're looking at that says, on the first sentence, it says lake waterfront property owners may place one appropriate buoy up to 150 feet from their respective shoreline. To end the sentence there and to strike the language that says to mark the minimum water skiing distance on fresh water, so that there isn't an inconsistency.
I have absolutely no issue with that. Are you comfortable with that? I'm comfortable with that.
And I'd be happy, I have the language here, I
Yep.
can make the motion in such a way.
Okay.
But I want to thank you for your work on this and for helping us be more responsive to private lakes with restricted access and how they would do buoy placement.
Do you have anything?
I don't.
Okay, then if there's nothing further, I will entertain that motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approval to amend the motorboat regulations, resolution number 57-18, Mason County Code, Chapter 9.04.253, I think is what it is, 235. Shoreline marker buoys by adding up to 150 feet and adding the following language to the chapters. Homeowners' organizations with the authority to restrict access to freshwater bodies may place buoys up to 150 feet from the shoreline in the pattern and amount necessary for regulation safety, and to strike the language to mark the minimum water skiing distance on fresh water.
Second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded to approve, for approval to amend motorboat regulation, resolution number 57-18, Mason County Code, Chapter 9.04.235, shoreline marker buoys by adding up to, the term up to, behind 150 feet, and also striking the language that says to mark the minimum water skiing distance on fresh water from that same chapter, and to also include homeowners, organizations with the authority to restrict access to freshwater bodies may place buoys up to 150 feet from the shoreline in a pattern and amount necessary to regulate safety. Is there any further discussion, Commissioners?
No, I want to thank everybody for coming out here and participating in the hearing both times.
Commissioner?
Yeah, thanks everybody. Appreciate your persistence on this and your patience as well as we work through this in order to get to today.
And again, I want to thank you as well, more than even Timber Lakes, it helps other lakes as well. We have the same issue on Mason Lake, for example, where they have an area where if they were to place the buoys, they would restrict all use of that area. And they'd like to put out there that they don't want people, no wake zone and stuff like that. This will allow them to be able to do that. So you've helped a lot of other people by pushing this forward. Mm-hmm. With that being said, anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. The hearing is closed. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Anything further? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, guys.